Hi, and welcome to another episode of Inside NDF, who is sponsored by National Dance Foundation. Each week, we interview another fascinating member of the dance community, a mover and shaker of those who really make things happen with education and progression and really take an interest in what is happening in dance. So today we are so happy to be able to introduce Stephanie Oliveri. She is the artistic director of the Guy Dance Experience. So Stephanie, as always, we like to get everybody started by tell us a little bit about yourself and when did you become interested in dancing?
So dance has always been a huge part of my life and my world. I started young, 5 years old. I grew up in a studio, and it was always fun. I just loved being on stage, and then I really started to take it serious. I went to a ballet camp one summer when I was 16,
Wow.
and my parents had to sit down like this is a big deal, a financial thing that we're going to do. So you got to be really serious about it. And it was up until that point, the hardest thing I'd ever done. Um, and I think it was 3 weeks I was away from home. And I was like, wow, I really want to do this. I love this. And then I went on a cruise ship for the first time with my family, and we saw one of the shows on board, and it blew my mind. I was like, this is something you can do. This is a job. So that was a dream of mine to travel and dance, and I did get to do that. So that was awesome.
You did dance on a cruise ship?
I did. I worked for Royal Caribbean for 3 years.
Exciting. What was your favorite place you visited and what was your biggest challenge dancing on a cruise ship?
I think the biggest challenge is you live kind of in this world that's not reality.
Yeah.
Because you sign on for a certain amount, whatever your contract is, 6 months, 12 months, and you're away. So you are missing things like birthdays and weddings, and you have to be okay with that, because that's definitely a challenge. But I thought that the perks definitely outweighed it. I met people from all over the world. I got to see places I never ever thought I'd get to go, and the whole time you're doing something you love. So I absolutely loved it. I think it's a great job.
And
Um,
that's a great job. I mean, and that's something that's so interesting for young people. I mean, it's a, like you said, you did it for 3 years, even if it's not something that you're planning a 20-year career. Today, people have many careers, so not
sure.
one, but that's a fascinating and that is wonderful. So excellent.
Yeah.
So fast forward, here we are today, and you're the
Yeah.
artistic director for Guy Dance, which National Dance Foundation, we'll talk about it a little bit, has a very nice partnership with you, or I don't know, partnership collaboration that we
Yeah.
share the same goals. So tell me about Guy Dance, and then tell me about your experience, why you got involved, and why you believe in it.
Okay. So guidance is a little different. There are so many competitions out there to choose from these days. So we definitely we were the first to be YPAD certified. So I think that
So
is
you
the
want to
biggest.
explain YPAD for those of you who don't know. So go ahead and tell us
Yes.
about
So
YPAD.
that's
National Dance Foundation is also YPAD certified.
yes, Youth Protection Association for dancers. So there are really no regulations out there regarding children for dance competitions. So, they're open to the public. Anyone can walk in. Every dance studio has their own rules and regulations. So there's not really guidelines that dictate what can and cannot happen at an event. YPAD created that. So we have waivers, we know everyone that's in the building. It's basically just protecting the kids. So there's a lot of measures in place where the music is all checked out before the event to make sure it's appropriate. Costuming is looked at to make sure, again, it's appropriate for the children. So it's just a little more regulated, and the basis for that is safety of your dancers.
Sure. And that's, so important today. I mean, things have changed so much and we forget that they're still, just because they're extremely talented, they're still very young people with a lot
Very.
of experience. So what are some, challenges that you face adhering to these wonderful guidelines that you do? So what are some challenges that would come up that maybe another competition might not have?
Well, health and safety is for sure number one for us. The physical and mental well-being of dancers is our number one. We're providing an environment for them to do something that they love, but at the same time, how can we make that better for them? How can we make it more inspiring, more safe? So we are looking at every aspect like that, with the music, with the costuming, with the backstage personnel. We background check anyone that works on our team, so that any person you come across at our event is safe.
That is very comforting to know. And how about the studios that come that are really attending your competition, because you're quite successful?
Yeah.
So this really is, I'm sure, resonates with the studio owners and even the parents. What kind of feedback do you get?
Absolutely. I mean, the studio owners appreciate that there's something out there like this that they can bring their dancers to, and know that that's our mission. The parents obviously love it, and if the studio is going to participate with us, they know, that their music has to be clean and no references to drugs or alcohol, anything like that. So if they're planning their choreography around that, there's no surprises when they come to our event. But we've gotten amazing feedback, because a lot of competitions they go to, they see things on stage that they don't want their dancers to see or try to emulate, or they see things all the time and they're like, oh, I want to dance to that song, or I want to do tricks like that, or wear that costume. And a lot of, even for us, sometimes music comes across and we're like, wow, I didn't know that's what that song was about.
I
So
can never understand the words. I'm like, oh my gosh, it happened. What was that meaning?
yes, it keeps us in check all the time.
I
um,
love.
so yeah, definitely really great feedback, just in the fact that everyone on site, even our judges, our staff across the board, is safe.
And you know what? That's a really nice, important point, because when you're really trying to have those values in your studio, it's heartbreaking to not lose, but see accolades of things that might not age appropriate. So I'm sure that it really creates a different kind of atmosphere at your competition because of that.
Absolutely. And we're a convention and a competition. So typically on Friday evening, we do our master classes, and all of the dancers partake in two classes. One is a movement class, and the other is a seminar class. Usually it's a game of some sort. 2 years ago, it was a Monopoly, but it's based around the YPAD standards and kindness and mental health and nutrition, all things that our young dancers are facing every day. And it puts it into a game setting, but it addresses those issues, teaches them how to kind of navigate what they're going to face inside the dance studio or outside. And it brings all of the dancers from the different studios together before they hit the competition stage. So it kind of just is an inclusive, welcoming environment before they even start, which is really special and unique to the guidance experience.
I love that. I think that's such a great thing. And it's nice that it's being done, like you said, on Friday. So they all get to, meet each other, know each other. You at competitions, I know I used to be a competition teacher. You will see regionally some of the same studios all the time, which
Sure.
is wonderful, because you really develop a friendship with them. You see certain dancers that you like. So there is that bonding. But I think the best part is because they're learning things through a game. I mean, it's not just a movement, all movement classes, but that you have this seminar because we can recite, words to songs we haven't heard years ago. But now when we try to remember a list that we can't remember it as well. So it's always so funny. Now, that's
Absolutely.
great about guy dance, but how did you become involved in guy dance and why is it important to you? Obviously, as artistic director, that's a very important role there. So tell us a little bit about how you've gone from the cruise ship to the guy dance. So tell us how that happened.
Yeah. So I knew Kelly through, I would come and work at the studio that she is also the director or studio manager of. And so I got to know her in that world. And I had had some experience working for dance competitions in the past, but I didn't know much about what she did. And what she's doing is trying to change the way that it's always been, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and make it better. And in my history, I had seen some of those things in action not be so effective. So to be a part of something like that was very intriguing to me. And so she brought me on board, and I had never really heard of YPAD before. So it was definitely a learning process for me to go through some of the trainings, which are amazing and really geared towards how to help these younger dancers and be better ourselves, because we're just as, we make just as many mistakes without knowing. So it's just clicking your brain to really being aware of how impressionable they are and how much is thrown at them that we have the power to make better.
And that's a very good point because also when I first went through the YPAD training for NDF, there's basic things you didn't even think of. I mean, things that, kids today, and I thought a very good point was kids today, their role models are their same age from their
Yes.
TikTok influencer group. I mean, years ago, your role models were someone who was a bit older than you, who was achieved stuff. So it presents some different challenges, which then pushes the limits to what kids are willing to go to today. And you might not even see them, but now that you've gotten that training, that's so important. So
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Which is why National Dance Foundation. So one of our board members, who you know very well, Tiffany Prout-Lateo,
Yes.
who is also speaks for YPAD. She's a studio owner. She's like, no, Guy Dance is doing such an alignment with National Dance Foundation, and that's why at the competitions, every competition, an award is given. We call it our hashtag KIC award for the studio that shows the essence of kindness, inclusion, and community, the way they check in with their parents. Why do you think it's so important today to reach young people with a message and make them think about, that kindness, inclusion, and community? Why do you think that's important that we all work together at that?
Well, I think it's more important now than ever. There is so much pressure on young dancers. Just like you said, they're watching and trying to emulate and we have this like perception of perfection and the instant gratification that so much of the world is at our fingertips. Um, that it's so important to just slow down and find those human qualities again, the realness, like being kind to someone, including someone that you don't know. It's paramount. And everywhere you look at a guidance event, we're trying to make that happen. From I didn't touch on this yet, but we have an ambassador program. So we take young dancers and they're our ambassadors. So you will see them at events. They perform their solos. They are helping out backstage with check-in. They're at registration. You see them all over, but we're giving them a really special experience before they go out into the real world. We're trying to give them some training and guidance on, how to do the behind the scenes stuff. But they're also backstage with stickers and sometimes a trinket. And they are on the lookout for finding a dancer that makes a difference back there, that isn't necessarily trying to do so, but just is kind and recognizing that. The judges are doing the same throughout the event. In their classes, are they finding a standout dancer that's maybe not doing the choreography the best, but gave up their spot in the front line for the dancer behind them? So it's just very evident in as many places as possible that we're all just people.
I love it. Now, these student ambassadors, what is their age range and how do they become a student ambassador for you?
Sure. So we have an online application that they just fill out and let us know where they're from and why they want to be a part of it. Many times they've been to an event and seen them and they're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. That's something I'd like to be a part of. We have 2 levels. So we have junior ambassadors, and they are, I think our youngest is 9. And that's like 9 to 12. And then we have our regular ambassadors, 13 and up. So we're kind of all over the country. So we try to have ambassadors in all the nearby cities that our tour hits. But yeah, you just apply, and we like to double check with their studio owner and director to make sure that, it doesn't conflict with their tour and their commitments. But we bring them on board and we teach them how a competition is set up and run. So it's a really great look at the behind the scenes. And I think it's special because when I was growing up as a dancer, I didn't know how many opportunities there were to keep dance in your life as a career.
Yes.
If it wasn't Broadway, New York City, LA. And there really is more opportunities now than ever in the dance industry. And this is just one avenue that they can explore. But they're getting the backstage theater experience too. So that's a really cool thing for them an opportunity for them to have as young dancers.
And you know what? You hit on something that I thought was very interesting. There are so many opportunities. I was just speaking with someone else, and even when I was much younger, really everything went on height first, height and what you looked like. If you weren't tall enough, you weren't getting into the audition no matter what.
Right.
But now there's so many hidden aspects that a lot of the kids that go to dance competitions aren't necessarily going to be the dancer that's heading for Broadway, but they love dance.
Absolutely.
Now there's so many jobs, if you think about it, like working for a competition. I mean, I'm sure that's where becoming a judge one day.
Yes.
I mean, how do you encourage young ones to keep dance in their life, or these ambassadors? Where do you tell them to look for jobs? Or even working for you would be even something.
Absolutely. The line of communication is always open. And with the amount of people that we have as judges, our guest teachers, there's just a plethora of information, and everyone is kind of on their own path. And I think instilling in each dancer, what is your idea of success? Because a lot of times I think it boils down to Broadway. And if I don't make it on Broadway, then I'm not a successful dancer. And
or so you think you can dance.
Exactly. Yeah. So whatever that is, and it's great to have a goal and a dream, but here are so many other options that are success. So really fine tuning what that means to you. In the ambassador program, we do seminars in the off season. I lead one. Tiffany has led one before, some of our judges, just anyone in the industry that has a topic that we think would benefit our ambassadors. And we do talk about that. Mine is, life on tour and defining your idea of success. So that's another way that we try to just give them as much information as possible and inspire them to go find their path.
I love it, because that's so important, because the ones that love dance want to keep it in their life. Like I say 1,000 times, might not necessarily be the best dancer. They might be a fabulous teacher. They might be a great choreographer. They might be a great at doing administrative work or registration for the competitions, but you're still in the dance field. You're still with the dance community, which is so wonderful. So
Yeah.
I love it. What changes do you see coming, or have you seen since you've been with Guy Dance? Like this is it's new to really try. It's new and it's old at the same time to try to promote good values in a competition. So what changes kind of have you seen, or what challenges, I should say?
Well, I think trying to keep a positive culture because at the end of the
That is a big challenge
That's a
right
that's a
off the bat.
huge challenge. You know, it is a competition. So how do you keep that competition energy while maintaining as positive of an environment as you can? Um, I have my notes here. Um,
That's important right there, because that's a challenge. I love that. I love what you're bringing out. How do you keep positive energy at a competition? Because by nature, a competition is you're trying to do the best you can, overall. So that is a tremendous challenge. So how do you work with that? Or what's your little tips of the trade, as they say?
our people, our team.
That's it.
I think
That's
that's the biggest part because, they are long weekends. They're tough hours to work. And if you have the wrong people, then it just feels heavy and down and difficult. And if you have the right people, the weekend flies by, the kids feel inspired. So I would say that's the biggest
That's
portion.
an amazing portion. And with you and with Kelly, and I know Tiffany being there a lot, I know that you have a lot of the right people there. And I know that's why we're so happy, National Dance Foundation, and honored to be able to give out this award in your competitions. We look forward to getting those pictures back, and we share them on our social media.
And it's one of
So,
our most prestigious awards too. It
ooh,
happens at the end and it's really special because, everybody wants the trophy, right?
right.
And we're able to give one away, but kind of slow it down and say, this is what we celebrate paramount, you know, and that's really special and close to our heart too.
I love it. I love it. Well, I can't thank you enough. I am enjoying getting ready to move into the 2025 season, which I can't believe I'm
I
even saying
know.
that. My gosh, it's crazy. And getting ready to send you our plaques. So we are very excited. So we love working together. So, any final comments before we end?
I don't think so. I appreciate your time and getting us to share a little bit about who we are and what we do. And we just appreciate you. We're really looking forward to
No,
the
we
next
appreciate
season.
you. So tell us, where do we find you at? What's your website?
TheGuidanceExperience.com. And you can find everything about us, our ambassador program, our tour schedule. We hope to meet some of you maybe this season.
Love it. Love it. Well, we want to thank you, Stephanie, and we want to thank everyone for watching another episode of Inside NDF. And again, we're sponsored by National Dance Foundation. If you'd like to learn more about the kindness, inclusion, and community that we've been speaking about, please go to our website, nationaldancefoundation.org. So thank you. We will be airing on Fridays, every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And until we see you again, don't forget, keep dancing.
Bye. Thank you.